Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're setting our sights on a really fascinating destination. It's been called the Pearl of the Indian Ocean for ages. We are diving deep into Sri Lanka.
Yes, and our mission today is, well, it's specifically for you, our listener. We're not just going to list places. We want to give you a proper, nuanced verdict. Is Sri Lanka, especially considering its incredible comeback after some really tough challenges recently, is it actually worth it for an adventure right now?
Exactly, because you see all the glossy pictures, right? But this deep dive is about getting you properly informed, cutting through all that noise. We need to uncover the real deal. We'll cover the practical stuff, the amazing value you can get, the culture, the food, and crucially, the actual vibe of the place. What's changed, what you absolutely have to do, and maybe what you can, happily skip.
Right. By the end of this chat, you should have a really clear picture of the commitment involved, both time and money, and also understand that sort of deeper connection you can find in Sri Lanka. It offers so much more than just a beach holiday, especially for travelers looking for something, well, profound.
Okay, let's kick things off with the practicalities. Getting there. That seems like the first big hurdle for a lot of people, doesn't it? Sri Lanka feels quite far away for many.
It definitely can be. Geographically, it's an island, so yeah, getting there is a commitment. Pretty much everyone flies into Bandaranaike International Airport, that's CMB, just north of Colombo, the capital.
Right, and the cost. I imagine that varies wildly depending on where you're flying from.
Hugely. It's a perfect example of distance equals cost. So if you're coming from North America, you're almost always looking at one, probably two layovers. And price-wise, well, you're probably budgeting somewhere between $800 and $1,200 US, sometimes more, depending on the season and how far ahead you book. It's a long haul, maybe 15, 20 hours travel time. So yeah, it's a significant undertaking from there.
But it gets easier and cheaper the closer you are, presumably.
Oh, absolutely. Fly from Europe, say London or Frankfurt, and the cost drops quite a bit. You're often looking at maybe $500 to $800 US, and you've got more chance of direct flights or just one stop.
That's more manageable.
Definitely. But the real bargains, and this is where it gets interesting for regional travelers, are if you're coming from nearby in Asia, Southeast Asia, India, the Middle East.
Yeah.
You can find some amazing deals thanks to budget airlines, sometimes round trips for as low as like $200 to $500 US.
Yeah.
That proximity makes it super attractive for people already in the region.
Okay, so step one, the flight is sorted.
Yeah.
You land at CMB. What's the next move? Getting into Colombo itself.
Right. The airport's a little way out, so you need a plan for that initial transfer. Your best bet is usually a licensed airport taxi or using a ride-sharing app. Uber works, but PickMe is the big local one.
PickMe. Okay.
Yeah, it's really useful. That trip into Colombo should cost you around, say, $20 to $30 US. But once you're actually settled, getting around the rest of the island, well, that's where your budget can really stretch, and the transport itself becomes part of the adventure.
I like that idea. Travel is the experience. So what are the main ways people get around? What's unique to Sri Lanka?
Well, you absolutely have to talk about the trains. They're almost legendary, especially the routes through the hill country.
Ah, yes, the Kandy to Ella train. I've seen the pictures.
Exactly. That's the one. It's famous worldwide for just breathtaking views. You're winding through these incredibly green, high-altitude tea plantations, mist clinging to the hills, glimpses of waterfalls. It takes about 6 or 7 hours, but it's stunning.
But I hear it's slow. And maybe not always comfortable.
That's the trade-off. Yeah, they are slow, like really slow, chugging along on those old colonial tracks, and second or third class. Often packed, standing room only sometimes.
Right.
But the cost is unbelievable. A few dollars for a ticket, it's dirt cheap.
So how do you get a decent seat then, if you don't fancy standing for 7 hours?
Now that's the key bit of insider knowledge. Booking is tricky. There's the government system at the station, super cheap, but you often have to buy just a few days before, and availability is a gamble.
Okay.
Then you have private agencies. They buy up blocks of the better seats first class, the observation car often months in advance. So the pro tip is, if you want comfort, a guaranteed seat, you really need to book through one of these agencies way ahead of time. Otherwise, prepare for a very authentic, crowded, maybe slightly chaotic train ride.
Good heads up. Okay, trains for the views. What about the workhorse? The buses.
Right, the buses. They are everywhere. They connect pretty much every town and village. They're the absolute backbone of public transport for locals.
And cost-wise.
Even cheaper than the trains, if you can believe it. Maybe $1 or $2 US for a journey between towns. It's incredibly cheap to get around using buses. But You need to be ready for the experience.
Prepared for what, exactly? Loud music and crazy driving.
You've heard right. It's definitely an experience. Think very loud Sri Lankan pop music, enthusiastic driving. Maybe enthusiastic is a polite word for it. Horns are used constantly, but it's often just letting people know you're there, not necessarily aggression.
Okay.
It's chaotic, it's intense, it's exhilarating in a way. But you need a good sense of humor and maybe a high tolerance for noise. You save a ton of money, but you'll spend more time and, well, maybe more energy.
Got it. Trains for scenery, buses for budget, and chaos. What about getting around towns or shorter trips?
That's where tuk-tuks come in. Three-wheelers. They're perfect for lipping around towns. The absolute golden rule, though, negotiate the price before you get in, always.
Or use those apps you mentioned. Pick me.
Exactly. Especially in Colombo, Kandy, maybe some bigger coastal towns. Using Pick Me gives you a fixed price up front, avoids the whole haggling thing, and generally prevents you getting ripped off. It's just easier.
Does using an app take away from the, authentic tuk-tuk experience?
That's a fair point. In the big cities, I'd say use the app for peace of mind and fair pricing. But out in smaller towns or rural areas where the apps don't work, yeah, you'll be negotiating directly with the driver. It's part of the interaction. But you need to be firm and have some idea of the right price, maybe $1 up to $10, depending how far you're going.
Okay. And the last option, for maximum ease.
That's the private car with the driver. Lots of people do this, especially for longer trips or if they're tight on time. It takes away all the stress. You can stop wherever you want, set your own schedule.
So it costs a lot more, presumably.
Yeah, it's the priciest option. You're looking at maybe $50 to $70 US a day, including the driver's food and accommodation usually. But if you're traveling as a pair or a small group, splitting the cost can actually make it pretty reasonable for the freedom and convenience you get.
So the takeaway is you can really tailor your transport. Budget immersion or paid convenience.
Spot on. The local options are incredibly cheap because of the exchange rate, offering amazing value. You just have to choose. Save money and dive into the local way with buses and trains, or spend more for the ease of apps and private drivers.
All right, we know how to get around. Let's talk about where to stay.
Yeah.
You often think Paradise Island, you think expensive hotels, but you hinted Sri Lanka might be different.
It really is. And this links back to that economic situation we mentioned. The value for money you get on accommodation across pretty much all levels is genuinely exceptional right now. Because the local currency, the rupee, has devalued, your dollar, euro, or pound goes a very long way. You get great comfort, often loads of local charm for prices that are surprisingly low.
Okay, let's break that down. What can a budget traveler expect? Say, someone spending $10, $15, maybe $20 a night.
For that kind of money, you're looking at hostels, guest houses, and homestays. Dorm beds are in that $10, $15 range, yeah. But what's really great is you can often find clean, simple private rooms for $15 to $30. And the experience, it's often really warm and welcoming because so many places are family-run.
So you get that personal touch.
Exactly. Real local hospitality. They're great spots for meeting other travelers, too. And often a simple, tasty local breakfast is thrown in. It feels more like staying with people than just renting a room.
That sounds fantastic value. What about moving up a notch, mid-range? Someone wanting a bit more comfort, maybe AC, a pool, but still wants that authentic feel.
This is probably the sweet spot for value, I'd say. The $50 to $100 US range. Here you find lovely boutique hotels, stylish Airbnbs, really comfortable guest houses. You can definitely expect reliable air conditioning, which is, trust me, essential. Outside the cooler hill country, a private bathroom, and often extras like a small pool or a balcony with a great view. Think maybe restored colonial bungalows or cool, modern places designed to fit the landscape.
Yeah, you mentioned colonial style. Does Sri Lanka's design heritage, people like Jeffrey Bawa, influence the higher-end places?
Oh, absolutely. Great point. Bawa's influence, that whole tropical modernism idea, is really visible in a lot of the luxury spots. When you get into the $150 to $300 plus range, you're often paying for stunning architecture as much as service.
So more than just a fancy room.
Definitely. We're talking impeccable service, yes, but also things like incredible infinity pools that seem to blend into the ocean, or the tea fields, maybe open-air bathrooms, private beach access, spa facilities, whether it's a chic beach villa down south near Galley or one of those grand old tea estate bungalows up in the hills near Hatton. It's world-class stuff, but still often cheaper than comparable luxury elsewhere.
Okay, location, location, location. You land in Colombo. Where's the best place to stay for those first couple nights to kind of ease in?
Colombo's definitely good for easing in, yeah. Get used to the heat, the vibe. I'd say 1 or 2 nights is enough for most people. Neighborhood-wise, the fort area is fascinating. Loads of colonial buildings right by the galley-faced green promenade, which is great for people watching in the evening.
Or if you want something quieter.
Then head to Cinnamon Gardens. It's more upscale, leafy, feels a bit calmer and more residential, but still has good cafes and restaurants. It's a nice contrast to the bustle of Fort or Peta Market.
Got it. After Colombo, most people head inland to the cultural heart, right? Kandy.
Kandy is pretty much essential, yeah. For the Temple of the Tooth Relic, the lake, the culture. The city center itself can be quite noisy and busy, though. So a good tip is to look for guest houses just up in the hills surrounding the lake.
Why up there?
2 reasons. 1, you often get amazing views down over the lake and the temple. 2, it's much quieter than staying right in the thick of it, but you can still easily walk or get a tuk-tuk down when you want to explore. Best of both worlds, really.
Makes sense. And then for the nature, the hiking, the famous views, Ella?
Ella has definitely become the main hub for that sort of thing in the hill country. It's got a very relaxed kind of backpackery, bohemian vibe, perfect base for hiking places like Little Adams Peak or Ella Rock, lots of waterfalls nearby.
Where should you aim to stay in Ella for the best experience?
Look for a guest house with a balcony, specifically one that overlooks the Ella Gap.
Explain the Ella Gap. What makes that view so special?
It's this huge, dramatic, V-shaped valley cutting through the mountains. It gives you this completely open, panoramic view stretching for miles down towards the southern plains. Honestly, sitting on your balcony early in the morning, watching the mist clear from the gap while you sip a cup of proper Ceylon tea, it's just one of those pinch-me moments. Unforgettable.
Okay, my favorite topic. Food. Sri Lanka was central to the spice trade, so cuisine must be pretty special, right?
Yeah.
If you had to pick, say, 5 absolute must-try dishes for someone visiting, what would they be?
Oh, it's incredible. You can really taste the history influences from southern India, Malaysia, even Europe. But using all these amazing local spices and ingredients like coconut and Maldive fish, it's totally unique. Number 1 has to be rice and curry.
Right, the national dish. But what is it exactly? It's not just rice with one curry, is it?
No, definitely not. Think of it less as a single dish and more as a delicious puzzle. You get a big helping of rice, and then surrounding it, maybe 5, 6, sometimes even 10 small bowls called wada. Each one has something different. You'll always get dal, which is a creamy lentil curry, super comforting. Then various vegetable curries, maybe potato, green bean, beetroot, jackfruit, often a fish or chicken curry too. And the key is each little curry has its own distinct flavor. Some spicy, some tangy, some mild and coconutty. You mix and match bites with the rice. It's amazing.
Sounds like a feast every time.
Yeah.
Okay, what else is uniquely Sri Lankan?
You absolutely have to try hoppers or appa. They're sort of a staple, especially for breakfast or a light dinner. The classic ones are bowl-shaped.
Bowl-shaped pancakes?
Kind of, made from a fermented rice flour and coconut milk batter. They cook it in a special little rounded pan, so it comes out super thin and crispy around the edges, but soft and bubbly in the middle, perfect for tearing and dipping.
And you can get them with egg.
Yep, an egg hopper is just with an egg cooked right in the center.
Yeah.
Delicious. Then there are string hoppers. These are completely different. They look like little nests or discs made of steamed rice noodles. Very delicate. Usually served for breakfast with dal or another curry and some sambal.
Okay, hoppers are on the list. What about street food? Something really vibrant.
That has to be kochi roti. You'll probably hear it before you see it.
Hear it.
Yeah. The sound is iconic. It's this rhythmic clang, 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 clang. It's the sound of the vendor using 2 metal blades to chop up roti bread on a hot griddle at incredible speed.
Wow.
They chop the roti really fine, then stir-fry it with shredded vegetables, egg, spices, and often chicken, beef, or even cheese nowadays. The texture is amazing, soft, chewy, crispy bits all mixed together. It smells incredible, too. Proper sensory overload in the best way.
Sounds like a must-do experience. And what's served with everything? That coconut thing.
Pulse bowl, yes. It's not really a curry, more like a fresh relish or condiment. Absolutely essential. It's made from freshly grated coconut, mixed with chili flakes or fresh chilies, lime juice, red onion, salt.
Sounds simple but good.
It is, but the secret ingredient in the really authentic stuff is a pinch of Maldive fish. It's a type of dried, cured tuna, flaked really fine. It adds this incredible savory umami depth. If your pole sambal has that, you know you're getting the real deal. It just lifts everything.
Good tip. Okay, drinks. Obviously, Ceylon tea. How should you drink it there?
Well, you should drink it often, especially if you're up in the hill country where it's grown. You can try different types based on the altitude they were grown at. High-grown teas are usually lighter and brighter. Low-grown are stronger. Just enjoy it black or with a little milk.
And other drinks to beat the heat.
King coconut water is your best friend. It comes in these distinctive orange coconuts. They just lop the top off with a machete, stick a straw in. Super hydrating, naturally sweet. And don't miss the fresh fruit juices, papaya, passion fruit, mango, wood apple, whatever's in season. Delicious.
Right, let's talk cost again. Accommodation is great value. Is food similar? Can you eat really well without spending a fortune?
Oh, absolutely. The value for food is possibly even better. If you eat like a local, say at a small boothcade that's like a simple local eatery, often serving rice and curry buffet style,
Yeah.
you can get a massive, incredibly tasty and filling meal for like $2 to $5 seriously.
$2 to $5. That's insane value. Less than a coffee in many places.
It really is staggering. Even if you go to a more mid-range place, maybe a nice guest house restaurant or a place popular with tourists, you're probably still only looking at $10 to $20 per person for a main course.
Wow.
And even pushing the boat out, going somewhere quite high-end, maybe a fancy seafood place on the coast or a hotel restaurant, you'd be hard-pressed to spend much more than $30 to $50 per person. So yeah, you can eat incredibly well, very, very affordably.
Amazing. One last food question, etiquette. Eating with your hands. Is that okay?
Totally okay. In fact, it's the traditional way, especially for rice and curry. Locals use the fingertips of their right hand to kind of mix the rice and curries together before popping it in their mouth.
Should tourists try it?
Yeah, give it a go. It actually feels quite natural once you get the hang of it, and some say it even makes the food taste better. Cutlery is always available, if you prefer, of course. But if you do try, just remember the golden rule. Right hand only for eating. The left hand is traditionally considered unclean for handling food.
Okay, we've covered getting around, staying, eating. Sri Lanka clearly offers a lot, but if you had to narrow it down, what are the absolute non-negotiable, you have to do this experiences, the things that really define a trip there?
Right, the big hitters. If I had to pick just three, these would be the ones that deliver the absolute maximum reward, historically, visually, ecologically. They're the pillars of a great Sri Lankan adventure.
Oh, yeah, the first pillar on us.
Number one has to be climbing Sigiriya, the Lion Rock Fortress. This isn't just climbing a rock, it's experiencing a UNESCO World Heritage Site, an incredible piece of 5th century history and engineering. You're scaling this enormous 200-meter-high rock column that just juts out of the plains. King Kasya built his palace complex up there.
Why is it so essential? What makes it worth the climb and the entrance fee, which I hear is a bit higher for foreigners?
It's a combination of things. First, the history is tangible. As you climb, you pass the famous Sigiriya frescoes, these beautiful paintings of women, incredibly well preserved on a sheltered rock face. Then near the top, you go through the Lion Gate, which used to be a colossal lion figure carved from the rock. Now only the giant paws remain.
Wow.
But what's truly mind-blowing, and maybe less talked about, is the engineering. Particularly the water gardens at the base. They had this incredibly sophisticated hydraulic system centuries ago, pumping water up to pools and fountains on the summit. It's just ingenious. And yes, the 360-degree view from the top is absolutely breathtaking. That alone almost justifies the $30 US foreigner entrance fee.
Okay, sounds incredible. Practical tip for tackling it. Looks steep.
Go early, like really early. Be there right when it opens, ideally before sunrise. The heat gets incredibly intense later in the day, making the climb much harder and less pleasant. Plus, you beat the main crowds in tour buses.
Good advice. Okay, pillar number 2. You mentioned transport becoming an experience.
Exactly. Pillar 2 is taking that scenic train ride, specifically from Kandy to Ella. I know we talked about trains already, but this specific journey deserves its own spot on the must-do list. It's genuinely considered one of the most beautiful train rides in the world.
Why is it so special, even if someone's using a car and driver for other parts of their trip?
Because the train line goes places the roads don't. It winds right through the heart of the tea country. You get these unparalleled, slow-moving views of the emerald green plantations, stretching for miles, often shrouded in mist. You pass tiny villages, wave at kids, cross dramatic bridges like the Nine-Arch Bridge near Ella. It's just pure, old-world travel charm mixed with absolutely sublime scenery.
And it's still super cheap.
Ridiculously cheap. Still just a few dollars, even for the better classes if you can snag a ticket. That value just cements its place as an essential experience.
Okay, you mentioned snagging a ticket. What's the key tip, again, for getting the best seat and view?
Book well in advance, weeks, even months if possible, especially for first or second class, possibly using those private agents we discussed. And crucially, for the Kandy to Ella direction, try your absolute hardest to get a seat on the right-hand side of the train. That's the side with the best sweeping views down into the valleys. The left side has more rock faces.
Right side, Kandy to Ella. Got it. What's the third essential pillar?
Pillar 3 is getting out into nature for a wildlife safari. Sri Lanka is an incredible biodiversity hotspot. You can see blue whales off the coast, but on land, the national parks offer amazing opportunities. A jeep safari is a must for wildlife lovers.
Which park, though? I hear Yala and Utawala are the main ones.
They are, and they offer slightly different experiences. Yala National Park down in the southeast is famous for leopards. It's said to have one of the highest densities of leopards anywhere in the world. So if seeing a leopard is your absolute top priority, Yala gives you the best chance, though it's never guaranteed. It can also get quite crowded with jeeps sometimes.
Okay, Yala for the leopard lottery. What about Utawala?
Utawaloe National Park is pretty much a guaranteed elephant spectacle. It's known for its large resident elephant population, and you're almost certain to see herds, often quite close up, bathing, feeding, interacting. It's fantastic for reliable, high-quality elephant sightings. You might also see crocodiles, water buffalo, deer, lots of birds.
Makes sense. Choose based on your priority, leopards or elephants. What's the cost and the best way to do the safari?
You'll pay a park entrance fee, plus the cost of hiring a jeep with a driver guide. Altogether, it usually works out around $30 to $50 per person, depending on the park and how many share the jeep. The absolute key tip for either park is go for the early morning safari.
Why early morning?
That's when the animals are most active, before the heat of the day really kicks in. Your chances of seeing more and seeing them doing interesting things are much higher at dawn. Also, try to hire a reputable driver, someone who knows the park well, respects the animals, and doesn't just chase the crowds. A good guide makes a huge difference.
Right, a balanced view is crucial. We need to help people avoid disappointment or wasting precious time and money. What common tourist things in Sri Lanka are maybe not quite worth it or need approaching with caution?
Yeah, this is about saving you hassle and making sure you focus on the really great stuff. My number one thing to be skeptical about is those ubiquitous roadside spice gardens.
I've seen signs for those. They sound kind of interesting, educational even. Learn about cinnamon and cloves.
That's the hook. And they often are interesting for the first 10 minutes. You get shown a few plants, maybe get a quick shoulder massage using some herbal balm. But the problem is, it almost inevitably leads to a high-pressure sales pitch in their shop.
The hard sell.
Exactly. They push overpriced spices, herbal remedies of questionable effectiveness, creams, oils, all packaged for tourists at vastly inflated prices compared to what you'd pay in a local market. It can feel quite uncomfortable, like you're obligated to buy something after the free tour.
So it ends up being a time waster and potentially leaves you feeling ripped off.
Pretty much. It can really sour your mood, my advice. If you're genuinely interested in spices, take a proper cooking class. You'll learn about them in context and actually use them. Or just visit a local market like the main ones in Kandy or Colombo, Petta. You can see, smell, and buy fantastic quality spices directly from vendors at local prices. Much more authentic, much better value.
Good alternative. Okay, what's next on the maybe skip list?
This one's more serious. We need to talk about unethical animal encounters and also some common scams.
Right. We should definitely flag the animal welfare issues, specifically elephant riding and maybe some turtle places.
Absolutely critical. Elephant riding is a definite no-no for conscious travelers. The traditional training methods used to make elephants compliant enough for riding are often incredibly cruel, involving breaking the spirit when young. Supporting riding directly funds these practices. Similarly, while some turtle hatcheries do good conservation work, many are little more than tourist traps. The conditions can be poor, they might keep hatchlings too long in crowded tanks purely for display, and the focus is often more on generating donations or entrance fees than on genuine, effective conservation outcomes. It can be hard for a tourist to tell the difference.
So what's the responsible alternative for people who love animals and want to see them?
Focus on observation in the wild or supporting genuine sanctuaries. For elephants, visit a reputable place like the Elephant Transit Home next to Utawalo National Park. They rescue orphaned calves, rehabilitate them, and aim to release them back into the wild. You observe them from a distance, no interaction, but you know your money is supporting actual welfare.
And for turtles?
It's trickier. Research is key. Look for projects with clear accreditation and conservation goals, not just tourist appeal. Or even better, if you're lucky, you might witness nesting or hatching naturally on a quiet beach. Just observe respectfully from a distance, never use flash photography, and don't interfere.
Okay, really important points. Now, scams. Beyond just general haggling, are there specific ones people should be aware of in Sri Lanka?
Yeah, a few common ones pop up. In Colombo or other tourist hubs, be wary of the gem scam. Someone overly friendly, maybe even a tuk-tuk driver, strikes up a conversation, finds out it's your last day, or pretends it is, and tells you about an amazing government-approved gem shop with unbelievable deals, maybe because there's a special sale today only?
And the gems aren't real or are overpriced.
Exactly. They're often glass, synthetic, or low-quality stones sold at hugely inflated prices. Just politely decline any unsolicited offers to visit gem shops. Another one, often near major sites, is the "it's closed today" or "special ceremony" trick.
How'd that work?
Your tuk-tuk driver might tell you the temple or site you want to visit is unexpectedly closed for a ceremony, or it's lunch break, or only opens later. Then they conveniently suggest taking you somewhere else, instead usually a shop or restaurant where they get a commission. Yeah. Always best to check official opening times yourself beforehand if possible. And finally, just reiterate the tuk-tuk issue outside of apps. Always agree the price up front, be clear about your destination, and firmly refuse any unwanted detours to shops or spice gardens. A polite but firm, "no thank you, just take me here please," usually does the trick.
We've got the logistics sorted, the highlights, the things to maybe avoid. But travel is so much more than ticking boxes. What's the actual feel of Sri Lanka? What's that authentic vibe you get when you're there, beyond the perfect Instagram shots?
That's such a great question because the vibe is maybe the most compelling and complex part of Sri Lanka. It's this incredible blend of like deep serenity and intense chaos all at once. It's vibrant, it's noisy, it's colorful, it's deeply spiritual, and sometimes, yeah, it's overwhelming. It really engages all your senses.
Okay, let's start with the positives. What really shines through?
Without a doubt, the people. It sounds like a cliche, but Sri Lankans are consistently ranked among the friendliest, most welcoming people on earth. You get these incredibly warm smiles, genuine curiosity, and a real willingness to help, even with language barriers.
And that comes through despite the recent difficult times they faced.
I think it shines through because of it, in a way. There's this incredible resilience. You feel their determination to welcome visitors back after the double hit of the Easter bombings and then the economic crisis. Their warmth and optimism in the face of hardship is genuinely moving. Traveling there now, you feel like you're part of that recovery, and they make you feel incredibly welcome.
That's powerful. What about the place itself? The landscapes?
The scenery is just, wow. The sheer diversity packed into a relatively small island is astonishing. You can be shivering slightly in the misty, cool air of the tea plantations up country one day.
Yeah.
And then a few hours later, be sweating on a golden, palm-fringed beach on the south coast. You've got ancient ruined cities sitting in the dry plains, lush rainforests, mountains, waterfalls. It's visually stunning pretty much everywhere you look.
And the cultural atmosphere.
It feels very rich and layered. You've got millennia of history and spirituality right there. Visiting ancient Buddhist sites like Anirodhapura or Polonnaruwa, seeing monks chanting, the smell of incense. There's a real sense of peace and deep history. Then you contrast that with the colonial architecture in places like Galley Fort or the bustle of Kandy. It all coexists. And it generally feels very safe for tourists, too. Violent crime is rare.
Okay, but it's not all serene beaches and smiling faces.
Yeah.
What are the challenges? The things that might test a traveler?
Definitely. You need to be prepared for the chaos and noise, especially in the cities. Colombo and Kandy particularly can feel quite intense. The traffic seems anarchic to Western eyes, the constant honking. It can be a lot if you're not used to it. If you crave peace and quiet, you need to get out of the main city centers.
So patience is required. What about infrastructure? Should people expect everything to work perfectly?
Probably not perfectly, no. You need to set realistic expectations. Outside the main tourist hotels and routes, things can be a bit rustic. While the situation is much better now, you might still encounter occasional, usually brief power outages, especially in more rural areas, a legacy of the recent economic troubles.
And connectivity. Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi and mobile data are generally okay in towns and cities, but don't expect blazing fast speeds everywhere, and it can be patchy or non-existent in remote spots or up in the mountains. Download offline maps.
Good tip. And the climate and environment.
Well, it's tropical, so expect heat and humidity, especially down south and in the Cultural Triangle. It can be quite intense, particularly midday. You have to stay hydrated, more king coconuts, pace yourself, maybe plan indoor activities or rest during the hottest part of the day. And finally, while hotels and guest houses are usually very clean, you will notice litter in some public places, unfortunately. It's a challenge they're working on, but it's noticeable sometimes off the main tourist trails. Sri Lanka definitely asks you to embrace its imperfections along with its beauty. Hashtag tag conclusion and final verdict.
Okay, we've been through it all, the incredible value, the $2 curries, the epic train ride booking saga, the ancient cities, the resilience of the people, the potential pitfalls. We've really dived deep. So the big question, the moment of truth, is Sri Lanka worth the adventure right now?
Based on everything, the value, the experiences, the welcome, that sense of contributing to its comeback, my verdict is a definite, almost resounding yes. But, and this is important, it comes with a condition. It's a yes if you're the right kind of traveler for what Sri Lanka offers.
And who is that right kind of traveler? Who is this trip perfect for?
It's perfect for the adventurous traveler at heart. Someone who loves culture, is fascinated by history, gets excited by nature and wildlife. If you thrive on authentic, maybe sometimes unpredictable experiences, if you love flavorful foods, stunning landscapes, and making genuine connections with local people, then Sri Lanka will absolutely blow you away. And right now, it's especially ideal for the budget-conscious explorer who wants incredible depth and richness without a luxury price tag. It offers that profound connection in a really vibrant spiritual place that's bouncing back.
Okay. And who might want to think twice? Who might find it maybe too challenging?
Well, if your ideal holiday is a seamless, ultra-luxury, all-inclusive resort where everything is perfectly manicured and you barely need to leave the compound, Sri Lanka probably isn't it. At least not outside of a few very high-end bubbles. Also, if you get easily flustered by a bit of disorganization, if you really can't handle intense humidity, or if you strongly prefer very quiet, predictable, orderly destinations without that bustling, sometimes chaotic local energy, then yeah, parts of the Sri Lankan experience might feel like hard work rather than a holiday.
So it demands a certain level of engagement.
Exactly. You have to lean in, embrace the slight chaos, maybe overlook a bit of grit here and there. It asks you to engage with the reality, not just a sanitized version. But if you do that, the rewards are huge. It's a place that gives back tenfold what you put in terms of experiences and memories that genuinely last a lifetime. It's complex, it's beautiful, it's recovering, and yes, absolutely worth a deep dive.
Which leads us perfectly to our final thought for you, the listener. Maybe the ultimate value you get from Sri Lanka isn't just taking off Sigiriya or seeing an elephant, as amazing as those are. Maybe it's more about engaging with the unique character, the spirit, the incredible resilience of the people you meet, especially now. It's a country that almost asks you to be fully present, to participate in its story. So the question to ponder is, what are you willing to embrace the heat, the noise, the unpredictability for a truly captivating, complex, and ultimately unforgettable destination? Something to think about while you're looking up those train schedules.